エンゼルスの大谷翔平は右肘の手術を行い、今季は終了しましたが、今オフ FA となることから、大谷の去就に全米中で多くの注目が殺到しています。アメリカでは5億ドル、約741億円の超大型契約が囁かれる中、米スポーツ局、FOX スポーツは投打二刀流で席巻するスーパースターだけに、
大谷の争奪戦はメジャーリーグがこれまで見たことのない、最も創造しく、最もクレイジーな FA となるだろう。
と推測。3年2億ドル、約296億円という超短期契約を予想していました。また、米スポーツ局 MLB ネットワークの番組ザ・ショーダウンでは、ゲストのベン・リンドバーグ氏が大谷獲得のためのオファー案を提示すると、これに司会のブライアン・ケニー氏は驚愕。大谷に関して興味深いトークを繰り広げていましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
There we go. I know you've written about Shohei Ohtani, I think in fairly glowing terms. You're a general manager this offseason. Give me your view of Ohtani, money, concerns, everything.
Well, I think the injury and the surgery certainly lowered the ceiling, but the floor is still high enough for him to earn the biggest contract ever, and by far the biggest free agent contract ever. I know that before the injury, the numbers being bandied about were astronomical, 600 million, right? And that's a testament to how impressive he is, because usually you don't see the highs increase by that much, right?
So, all right, I want to hit a few things, though. Again, roster concerns. He takes up a DH spot. You need a six-man rotation. And it seems this year, Ben, on top of it, there seem to be some Ohtani rules happening. You know what I mean? That he was doing his thing and everything has to revolve around him. I have concerns about that.
I'm with you in the sense that I don't think he offers any extra hidden value, as if his wins above replacement totals aren't high enough. Everyone's always trying to give him extra credit, right? Because he's two players in one roster spot. But because of the constraints that you mentioned, I don't really think there is any hidden value there. I think it goes against the trends in the game these days, which is that you use the DH slot as sort of a rotating place to put people, just to rest everyone, right? Now, I don't think anyone would mind just slotting him in as DH every day if he's the best hitter in baseball. And there are plenty of teams that go with six-man rotations even without Shohei Ohtani. So it's not that out of the norm. So I don't think that's going to scare anyone away. But I agree, it doesn't give him any extra value.
But he's also, like, even this year, he's pitching 130 innings. I think the year before was 160. So you're making a lot of real-world adjustments day to day. Look, I think, Ben, if he just pitched, he might be the number one pitcher in the sport. He's that great, but he's not. So it's actually, I hate to say it, it's almost a headache you don't need. It seems absurd. But again, that's knowing that the price point is $50 million a year, right? The whole package seems like it's a lot to take on, and you're already saying, hey, that marketing money that everyone keeps throwing around like automatically, and the boost in attendance that you're not doing, I don't know. It doesn't sound like the most attractive package at the price point. Not that he's not a great player, but at the price point.
Of course, irrespective of the price point, I think everyone would be happy to have that headache. And I think that, his pitching, I mean, it seemed like he was on pace to really up his innings total and be durable. And then it was one thing after another, of course, before the elbow injury. It was blisters and it was cramps. And who knows whether that was related to the injury or whether that's just a product of the two-way play or just something that happened, right? So it's hard to say. He's had fewer and fewer restrictions as he's gone on, but he comes back from a second surgery. Perhaps there are a few more restraints on him, at least initially.
Yeah, he's hitting at an Aaron Judge level, who makes, is it 40 a year, right? So if he's hitting at that level, so if that's the market for just a hitter, but he's not. I'm going to give you my contract proposal, Ben, all right? And this is not just spitballing. The top teams I've found pay their best player 14 to 15% of the total payroll. If I'm a big market, right, and I want him, I might be, if I'm saying I'm a big market, I have $285 million payroll. By the way, I'm in the top three if I do. I'm going 8 years, $40 million per. And I'm being generous. Real world, Ben, I don't even want to do it. But I'm saying if I'm one of the top three payrolls and I'm getting ownership that's saying bring this guy in, I say I can do this. 8 years, $320, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, you know about the winner's curse, right? That the person who usually emerges with the free agent is the one that's willing to go highest, and sometimes, in retrospect, too high. I think it's going to be the over on your estimate there, certainly.
Really?
I think that I've talked to a lot of front office people and gotten their thoughts, and there's not a ton of confidence, I wouldn't say, in their predictions either. But I keep hearing, even post-injury, somewhere in the 400 to 500 range. And I think it's partly that, hey, if he's just a DH, he could be the best hitter in baseball. Hopefully he pitches. The news about his elbow, as far as we can tell, seems to be about the best case scenario, right? That the ligament was intact but detached, that it seems like maybe he had the internal brace repair and could come back a little more quickly. And also, because he's so unusual, there's the fallback plan of, hey, if he doesn't come out of this as one of the top pitchers in baseball anymore, you could always try to use him as a DH/closer. Or if he gives up pitching for good, maybe he's a plus everyday defensive corner outfielder.
Yeah,
right?
maybe, if he wants, right? But it kind of,
if he wants
a
to,
lot of this hinges on, hey, what do you want to do, big guy? And he seems to do what he wants. Give me your contract offer.
I think I'd be willing to go as high as, say, 11 years, 480. That's it's not going to be my opening offer.
11.
I think, hey, look at the contract signed last winter, Brian. I mean, everyone's going 11, 12, 13 years.
Yeah, and how do they feel about it this year? How does everyone feel about those deals 1 year later on these 11-year deals? 1 year later.
There's a little bit of buyer's remorse in some of those cases for sure. But the other thing is, who are the impact bats out there this winter, right? It's Ohtani and not a lot of other guys. And then there's what our friend Vince Gennaro calls the marquee value, right? The butts he puts in the seats, the extra attention, the endorsement deals, the marketing revenue. Now, if he's not a two-way player, does a little bit of that brand value go down? Is he not quite as sensational? Possibly. But for now, he's lapping the league when it comes to that stuff. And if you're an owner, and this is going to be an ownership level decision, then you're certainly factoring that in, right? There's no telling what happens when an owner gets involved in the negotiation.
I'm still recovering from the impact of your offer. I just kind of took the wind from me, and it's not my money. So 11 years, $45 million per, and you're doing that to keep the AAV down.
Yeah, I mean, look, he might, I guess, decide to go with a shorter term deal, right? He could say, hey, let me establish that I'm fully healthy again and that I can be the two-way star, and then I'll get back into the market. Or we could end up with some complicated structure like a Julio deal where you have playing time-based escalators and options and opt-out so that he retains some flexibility and doesn't get locked into a situation where he's on a losing.
また、今季終了後の FA で、大谷が何を重視するのかはまだ不明ですが、米スポーツ局、FOX スポーツは、
メジャーでの6年間から判断すると、太平洋に近い場所に留まりたいと思ういくつかの強力な理由がある。
と分析していました。一つは、プレーや生活に慣れ親しんだ場所であること。一年中快適な気温なので体への負担も少なく、西海岸のチーム、エンゼルス、ドジャース、パドレス、ジャイアンツ、マリナーズなどでは、メディアの監視も少なく、プライベートを重視する大谷は、そのことを好んでいると推測していました。また、仮に金額を重視するなら、
メッツのオーナーであるスティーブ・コーエンに勝てる者はいないだろう。メッツの2024年の方向性は、監督選びも含めてまだやや不透明だが、球界関係者の多くは、コーエンが大谷の争奪戦で重要なプレイヤーになるだろう。
と予測し、さらに右肘故障により、
より多くのチームが争奪戦に参加する可能性がある。彼が5億ドル近いオファーを受けるかどうかは、もはや確実ではない。ほぼどの球団も可能性がある。
と争奪戦を見込んでいました。これからも大谷の活躍から目が離せません。皆様からのコメントもお待ちしております。